Hello and welcome to the Marketing Times Analytics podcast. I'm your host, Alex Sofronas, and today we're on with Parnikaa Mitra. Parnikaa, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Parnikaa Mitra, and currently I'm working as a data analyst in marketing. I studied from Cornell University with my master's in management, and prior to that, I completed my chemical engineering back in India. So, being in the US has been an enlightening experience.
Tell us about what got you interested in the marketing and analytics space.
Sure. When I was starting out my life in my undergrad, I thought I'll be a chemical engineer because I was interested in chemistry, doing all that stuff back in India. So that's what I wanted to do. During my third year of engineering, the pandemic hit all over the world and it changed our perspectives on what we wanted to do in life. I observed everyone around me focusing on health, wellness. The disease was terrifying and everything, but it really changed everyone's perspective. So during that time, I wanted to do something to contribute to people's health and wellness, and that is why I formulated a plant-based protein powder, which I thought at the time was really useful in building immune systems, getting energy, looking after your health in the long term. So that's what I did. I formulated the plant-based protein powder, put it into production, created a brand out of it, and started to tell people about it. The results were quite positive, but the only problem was that it was too localized, and a lot of people outside of my local area, like my city, Ahmedabad, did not know about it. And that's when I realized the power of marketing. And then it's the most valuable lesson to me here was that it's not enough to create a good product, but it's also important to make your voice heard to your consumers. And it's not important enough to just believe in your own product, but it's also important to people should know about it, people should hear about it, and that's where marketing comes into play. And I realized how important it is to understand consumer behavior, and I wanted to study more about it. So I applied for my master's degree and I completely switched to management and marketing. And then I kind of understood how data plays a pivotal role in marketing. And so it all I specialized in that, and here I am. So that's how my journey got me into marketing.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Hello, everyone. This is your host, Alex Sofronas, and we're doing a very unique thing today. I'd like to learn a little bit more about you. I'm putting out a survey in the description of this podcast episode. One lucky person who submits the survey will receive $100 in cash via Venmo or PayPal or QuickPay. So it should only take 5 minutes or less. Please go ahead and support me by filling out the survey, and you'll be notified if you are the lucky winner of the giveaway. So thank you and good luck. And now back to the episode. I'm curious, in school, what were some of the ways that you learned how to use data to inform marketing?
Yeah, for sure. So basically, again, it all pivots back to pandemic, because the pandemic really shifted consumers' opinion on how they viewed all brands, all products, and how they saw themselves. Essentially, we were all forced to isolate and be placed into a bubble, which really changed all of our perspectives as to how we approach things, bring out creative ideas and stuff. So data became very important, really post-pandemic, because the whole shift from traditional marketing shifted to a digital platform and omni-channel focus. So in school, we were really taught as to there's a huge volume of data that surrounds us every day. Every day we use our phones, the data is captured from there. We purchase anything, the data is captured from there. Social media, influencer marketing really came into the limelight post-pandemic. So in school, we were taught to collect consumer data through questions, online surveys, and then do analysis, like statistical analysis on it, to determine what your consumer persona is and how you can personalize your marketing campaign to your consumer persona. So data-driven marketing has really taken off post-pandemic, in my opinion, and the campaigns have different key performance indicators like return of investment and acquisition cost, customers lifetime value, and all of that. So all these metrics are used when you're using data-driven marketing. So I think that was the major teachings from school. But after school, when I started applying it, I really started understanding how data plays a pivotal role in all of your marketing campaigns.
Yeah, that makes sense. How has the data used in marketing campaigns changed over time?
I would say that data was always there in abundance in marketing campaigns, but I think now it's used more of in a way of quality rather than quantity. So people actually collect the data, create and focus more on descriptive analytics rather than descriptive analytics. So I would say earlier data was used to describe, okay, whether your campaign is going in the right direction or not, like how many people are viewing your campaign, and the traditional media like TV, billboards, radio was more used. But now it's more of how many people have actually clicked on your advertisement and how has it converted your customer to be associated with your brand. What is the lifetime value of the customer? How has the loyalty of the customer changed? So I think it's more of predictive analytics, where you proactively identify who your core consumer is, and then create the campaign personalized to the consumer. And there's a lot of reasons for that, especially the attention span of all our Gen Z consumers has gone down so much that if they are bombarded with a lot of information, they'll just move on to the next brand who is personalizing it for them. So I think personalization is a key factor in today's or 2024 data-driven marketing. And the second thing I feel is predicting your customers' loyalty has become very important. Consumers place a lot of emphasis on convenience and health these days rather than just doing the seasonal transition of what is in season and we should just buy what is in season. The inflation has really shrunk the consumers' wallets, and that's why people are paying more attention to what is convenient for them, what is healthy for them. So I think that is how it has changed. The share of wallet has reduced, and personalization and understanding your consumers, giving them exactly what they want through your data and increasing their lifetime value has become more important. So that's what I mean when I say that data has gone from being descriptive to, okay, this is how your campaign is performing, to predictive, that these are your consumers, these are their behaviors, and this is how they'll be associated with you in the long term.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Great answer. I'm curious, what are some of the common misconceptions about data in marketing? How do you avoid those pitfalls?
So first thing I'll say is that, which I already mentioned, there is a plethora of data around us. Every day, one consumer clicks on multiple ads online, is exposed to multiple social media ads, and as well as traditional media. So everything collects data. Your phone collects so much data. There is so much data around us. People think that more data is always better in a sense, but I would say that is a common misconception, that more data is not better. You have to scout through your data, understand which is good quality, what is telling you a good story, what is directing your campaign, rather than just blindly collecting data. So that is one common misconception. And second common misconception that I see people commonly having is that whatever data is telling you is the absolute truth. So if you're seeing a trend, and that is the absolute truth. But I would say there is still a place for marketers to come in, use their own minds, use their own gut instincts and creativity to actually combine with the trends that they are seeing, and then using the data rather than assuming it as the absolute truth. So, for example, let's say if I started a new brand in the market and I want to develop customer loyalty, and that is what my campaign is for, to develop customer loyalty. So the metric that I would focus on would be my customer lifetime value and customer acquisition cost, rather than just seeing the click-through rate and the impressions that the campaign has done. What conversion rate is happening and what is the lifetime value of the customer in the long run. But if a brand which is already established is launching a new line of product and they already have loyal customers, then your marketing campaign should be more focused towards seeing how many impressions your ad has, or what is the click-through rate, what is the exposure of your ad, because the customers already trust your brand, they are loyal to your brand, but they need exposure to see the new line of product that you're launching. So I think these nuances have to be kept in mind rather than just believing that data is the absolute truth.
Definitely. Can you speak about the intersection of marketing and ethics? How do you ensure ethical considerations are taken into account when making a marketing decision?
This is definitely a complicated question, but I would say for me, what has worked till now is belief in the product that you're selling. That is like, ethics is a very personal question, and somebody else cannot decide for you what is ethical to you and what is right or what is wrong. But I think as a conscious person in this industry, you should ideally always market the products that you believe in and that you believe would not cause harm to your consumers. If you believe in your product and if you believe this is absolutely not doing any harm, I think that is the first point of consideration in ethics, in marketing, because consumers, especially with so much data available, consume whatever you feed them. So as a marketer, it's your conscious duty to not feed them something harmful and take that into consideration before even entering this field. Telling a story is very important, but telling your story you actually believe in is even more vital than that.
Yeah, totally agreed. I would even add to that, offering things, anything related to the product, but even in the offering, if there's a bonus that's somewhat deceptive or anything like that, then that would be included also. Just anything that's a little bit over the line in terms of deception versus reality. And as the marketer, you know what's going on behind the scenes, so it's pretty obvious if there's anything unethical going on.
Yeah, there is a thin line between shielding the truth and actually selling a lie. I think wording it a little differently, but not causing harm to the consumers, is within the line. But knowing something is going to do harm and still working on making it into a positive image, I think that's where I personally draw the line.
How do you stay up to date with everything related to marketing? Is it school? Is it just school? Do you have anything else that you follow to keep up?
I think most of news articles, online blogs, and talking to people is very important, I think, in this field, because it really helps you learn from being appraised of the industry, talking to people, understanding consumer behavior. I think that is what is more important. Online blogs, industry trends, I like to follow them. I like to read articles which tell me about inflation and how customers are reacting, reading up about seasonal trends. All of that is really important. Plus, enrolling in courses, staying up to date with all the technology, especially with AI creeping up on us in marketing, automation creeping up on us. It's very important to stay up to date with technology. Enrolling in courses is very important. But most of all, I feel like staying curious and observant of the things happening around you is highly important. Staying curious about what is going on in your society, how your parent reacted to a new product that you brought. So that would really help identify the nuances between what millennials are reacting, how Gen Z is reacting. It's mostly common sense and curiosity, which would help you pick up these nuances and apply them in your career and marketing journey.
So, if somebody wanted to get into marketing and analytics, what would you recommend for them to do?
To break into the industry, wow. So basically, what I would say is like, firstly, again, coming back to my point of staying curious and observant of your consumers and how they would react to your brand, to your product, to your service is highly important. So that is one thing that I would highly recommend. And then second is like technology. So, enroll in courses that would help you get up to date on all the technology, SQL, Excel, R, coding languages. These are very important in identifying statistical patterns when you are analyzing the data. So I think doing that is highly important. Then combining your gut instincts, creativity with what the data is telling you is very important. Not just new campaigns, look at historical campaigns, what has traditionally happened in the industry, and understand what worked and what didn't work. That is very important. Breaking into the industry, whatever brand, product you're joining, just look at the history of the product, what it has gone through, what is the image of that brand or product in the consumer's image, and then work towards improving it, changing it, or just continuing on the same patterns. That is highly important. I think most of all, believe in yourself and believe in the product, service, or whatever you are going to apply in, because marketing is all about believing and then relaying a message.
I want you to ask yourself a question. How much of the data that your business collects is actually used to drive contextual marketing campaigns? The capabilities of the marketing industry are evolving rapidly, and that's great news for businesses. More data is becoming available at increasing levels of granularity, and that data can be used to create better marketing campaigns that better resonate with your key audiences and increase customer conversion rates. Marketing tactics are becoming more focused and contextual, which is bridging the gap between B2B and B2C marketing. At the end of the day, we're marketing to individuals, whether they're buying on behalf of a business or whether they're buying a product or service for their home. My name is Alex, and I'm an expert in data, analytics, and direct marketing. I've managed over $70 million in media spend, over $10 million in agency fees, and I have a proven track record in lowering cost per sale in direct marketing, digital media, and paid search campaigns. I use data and analytics to dive into campaign performance, identify growth opportunities, and action on those insights to deliver business results. I've worked at companies like IBM and DirecTV, where I've leveraged LTV analytics and customer insights to identify profitable groups of customers and drive demand amongst those customer groups. The secret is in de-averaging campaign and audience performance, understanding the components of profitability and tying that together with audience segmentation. So the question is, are you using the right data to maximize your marketing potential? Grab time with me to learn how you can get the most sales out of your marketing efforts. Thanks for listening. How do you approach analyzing and interpreting data, and what tools and techniques do you use?
So basically, I can't divulge into the specific tools that I use, but I would say that when you have data, we use certain statistical softwares to identify patterns. But if you want to start at the very basic, just get maybe the dollar sales and the unit sales, and then identify share, see what changed your share over time. So I think the time analysis is very important. Like, look at historical, like 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, look at that data, identify the time lapse trend, and then try to associate that with whatever changes were happening around at that time. Like, was it a seasonal trend? Was it Thanksgiving that spiked your sales so much? Or was it something else that was happening in the entire world that changed? So I think that is the first step. First step of any analysis of data is seeing the time lapse, seeing the trends, and then associating them with the reasons of what that might have caused. And then when you have identified the historical reasons of why that was happening, then you apply it in your future planning, that 3 months later, Thanksgiving season is coming. Can we give discounts earlier to the consumers to make them shop more? Maybe customers with our loyalty cards can get personalized discounts of the things they buy. Maybe 4th of July is coming up, so you offer discounts on like American themed hats, food platters, and everything. So I think that is what is most important. Like, first identify historical trends and then combine your environmental knowledge per se, like what is happening in the world, what is happening in your environment, localized, and then develop your consumer personas to understand who your target consumer is. Because unlike traditional media, these days it's all omni-channel, it's all like digital and omni-channel work hand in hand. So like identify who your customers are and then give them personalized recommendation of these are the discounts you get because these are the things that you usually buy. So I think that is how I would approach it. And the technology, I feel if you start with something as basic as Excel, I think that would also help. But we also sometimes use R coding and to determine the statistical significance of things. And then of course like surveys and questionnaires really help in doing the consumer behavior and consumer personas.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, what are your goals in your career in marketing analytics, and what steps are you going to take to achieve those goals?
Yep. So I think my goal for a year back was to just basically understand the data so much that I can predict whether a consumer who is walking through the door is going to buy a product or not. So I think my goal a year back was to be so well versed with the data that I can predict consumer by consumer, like whoever walks in the door, I would be able to predict like what their basket is consisting of and like how they would react to different strategies. And I think my goal is still that, but I'm a little bit ahead in that, in the sense that now I understand the data better to understand how the share is varying. I haven't really reached that level of granularity where I can identify what the consumer is going to do, but I'm still on the learning path on that, and I'm trying to strengthen myself with all the tools and technologies to actually work towards that. My second goal is to be a thought leader in the industry. Like, whatever knowledge I've gained over the years of working with brands, working with marketers, creating my own brand, is to relay what the consumers are doing to a wider audience. And I think the first step towards that was actually coming on this podcast, so thank you so much. And lastly, I think my goal would be to finally be able to make my consumers aware of the product that I had created, that I had believed in the future.
Awesome. Yeah, those are great goals. So, going back to managing a marketing campaign, how do you determine what the most important metrics are that you should evaluate for the success of the campaign?
It all depends on what your end goal of the campaign is. Let's talk about the traditional metrics first, and then we can talk about how we actually analyze what metrics you're going to apply to that specific campaign. I think the major metrics that people usually use while doing marketing campaigns are, first is return investment. That is just basically how much money you are investing into the campaign and what is the return on that campaign on your product sales or popularity. So that is the first metric, which is, I feel, the most important metric, because how many dollars you're spending and what you're getting back is a huge determiner of success of your campaign. So that is the second, I would say, is customer acquisition cost, which we call CAC. That is the cost of what your marketing campaign is doing to acquire a new customer, make a new consumer walk through the doors of your store. The third KPI people usually use for online campaigns is click-through rate and the impressions of your ad. These are majorly used for online campaigns, like how many people have clicked through the advertisement and gone to your webpage, or ad on Instagram basically, and you clicked on that advertisement, and then you clicked on the thing in the bottom which says go to website. So you actually reached the website through that ad. So that can also be a part of your click-through rate. And then the one which I feel is more important than the click-through rate is the conversion rate. Like how many people actually clicked through the advertisement, reached the web page, and bought something on it. So how many consumers were actually converted to your customers?
So I'm curious, what do you see as, the next evolution in marketing technology? What do you think is coming down?
In my opinion, I think the next evolution of marketing is definitely going to be driven by automation, augmented reality, virtual reality, AI, and I think all of those techniques are going to lead to hyper personalization in the face of diminishing attention spans. I think that is what summarizes the next generation or next evolution of marketing. Because as in, like, what I've seen in the industry right now is like people are tailoring their technology more and more to give personalized experiences, and they are anticipating customer needs with almost a surgical precision. It's definitely predictive analytics at this point. And then those immersive technologies like augmented reality and virtual reality, like for example on Amazon, you can see a product online and then you can point your camera and see how it look in your room. So I think that is giving customers more and more flexibility to understand what they want. But I think this I would say is the evolution of marketing. But I think more important would be ethical considerations and data considerations, because since so much information is available, privacy is going to be a concern. But I think as marketers we'll get through that, and having transparency that we are going to collect your information, taking permission before collecting information. I think those would be some ethical considerations to keep in mind in the future.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Parnikaa, for joining the podcast. It was a pleasure to have you, and thank you everyone for listening. We'll talk to you soon. If you like this episode, please subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. Thanks, and have a great day.